All right, beautiful souls. Let's talk about what is happening in the coaching and NLP industry worldwide. Because a huge amount of changes has happened, obviously, since lockdown has come in worldwide, but there are still changes happening as we speak. It's still going through a little bit of a evolution. Now, one of the interesting statistics, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of statistics. Just so you know, statistics, I'm not going to quote the resources specifically. I've literally gone through about 120 resources to get all these things. And if I pick up statistics, as long as the statistics are similar, then I will use them. I don't just grab one. So these are, I believe, quite accurate. I am going to add that this is at the moment, May 2021. Just in case someone watches this video 5 years from now and then gives me a phone call because my statistics are wrong, because things change. So let's just have that understanding. Now, all statistics we have to appreciate are usually 2 or 3 months old. We would never really have very, very accurate current statistics. Definitely not worldwide. It takes time to collect these things, and obviously they've got to be analyzed properly. So what do you guys think is the yearly annual income in the coaching industry? What do you think the industry is worth at the moment, right now as we speak? Who wants to put in a guess? Who wants to type it into the chat? Put it into the chat. Let's see if you guys can guess what is the size, dollars-wise, US dollars. What do you think is the size of the industry at the moment? 1 billion? I'm sorry, that's too low. 10 billion? You are still under. Woo. Roughly 15, they're estimating 15 to 20. They don't believe it's reached 20 billion yet, but it's roughly between 15 and 20 billion per annum. Isn't that insane? Now, here's the second shocking statistic, according to the sources that I got hold of. Right now, so remember now what I said, statistics are 2 to 3 months old. So we're talking 2 to 3 months back when it was. Right now, NLP and coaching combined, or either one, they put both of them into one box, is the second fastest growing industry in the globe. The second fastest growing. In other words, there's only one other industry that's growing faster. What is it? I'm not sure. I think it's Zoom, to be honest. Because with lockdown, Zoom has just gone absolutely crazy. But I would suspect it's probably some kind of a technology industry. But their claim, apparently, it is the second fastest. Is it the second fastest? I am not 100% sure. I haven't come up with the statistics. I read what the smart guys say. If it is not number 2, I am fairly certain it's really up there in the numbers, simply because we've seen what has happened over the last couple of months and over the last couple of years. It has grown incredibly. Who's got any idea how many coaches are there around the world, roughly? According to one of the leading coaching bodies, they claim there's roughly, and it is an estimate, it's not an accurate figure, they cannot make it accurate. And this was taken about 6 months ago. They claimed there was roughly about 4.5 million coaches around the world. Now, I think that number is not accurate. I think it should be higher. But then again, that's what some of the coaching guys, the fancy guys, claim. 50% of all coaches at the moment operate from America, the USA. 50% of all the coaches in the world operate from the USA. Quite an interesting stat. Now, here's a shocker. Are you ready for the absolute shocker? Only 1/4 of actual people that claim to be life coaches are certified. Only 1/4. Now, that's the scary one. However, there is a trend that is happening at the moment, and the trend is the guys that are not properly trained are struggling. So I want to just talk about a couple of trends. Let me give you just a couple of interesting I've still got some interesting statistics. Second fastest growing, I've said that. Right now, almost 40% of Fortune 500 companies include coaching in their leadership development. They pay for it. 40% of all Fortune 500 companies. If you're a member and you're executive or a senior management, you'll have a coach. Isn't that cool? That is so cool. 51% of coaches, here's an interesting one, are Generation X, in other words, born between 1965 and 1981. Over half of us. Well, over half of the coaches. Unfortunately, I'm not in that statistic. I'm before that. I'm born in 63, so I think, what do they call us? Baby boomers, I think. Yeah. Well, we're the second highest group, at least. 70% of coaches around the world are female. I bet you this rule again, eh? 70% of coaches are female. What is interesting, however, and this is the interesting component, if you look at the business coaches and specifically the niche business group coaches, 70% or over 70% of them are males. So I think personally that's still coming across from the old male dominance in business kind of thing that we've had around the globe for so many years. So that's obviously still lingering, especially if you consider the age group of the average coach. So that does make sense. What is interesting at the moment, though, is the rise, and I'm going to say this, the rise of female coaches. I've personally noticed it over the last 2 or 3 years, how, I remember when I got into this industry, to see a female that's a strong power coach, as in high social following, impactor in the industry, they were few and far between. If you look at the coaching industry now, that's not a strange thing anymore, so ladies, power to you, go for it. Well done. You're definitely getting in there. Right, now there's a statistic that I know a lot of you guys do want, and what is the average rate a coach charges around the world? The current average around the world, and we're doing this in dollars just to get a global picture, is $120 to $330 per 1 hour session. So here's an interesting fact about it. It's dropped. It's dropped over the last year. Since lockdown started, since COVID started coming into the world, coaching rates has actually dropped. Does anybody know why? Well, the answer is simple. Because the world economy is struggling a little bit. So coaches have adapted. Coaches have experienced an increase in customer rate, volumes, and they are busier much more than what they used to be. So what has influenced this trend? The biggest influence, 2 things. Lockdown and COVID. Lockdown has had a tremendous impact on our industry. So the biggest technology thing that's happened in our industry has been Zoom, the same platform you guys are on now. So there is a little bit of a saying in the industry, if you can't coach on Zoom, you can't coach anymore. If you can't coach on Zoom, you can't coach anymore. If you're not a Zoom coach, you're going to struggle. Simply because the bulk of the industry right now, over 70% of coaching sessions worldwide over the last 2 years, in other words, that means some of the stats were done pre-COVID, has been done over Zoom. So it just tells me that when COVID and lockdown came in, everybody's gone via Zoom. Now, the prediction is it's not going to change. Coaching, number one form of coaching will stay virtual. There might be another company coming out with a better software than Zoom and they'll overtake, but the concept of a video call is basically, we talk about Zoom, that's what we're talking about, where people can see each other and talk to each other for a time frame. So that is a trend. If you're not set up on Zoom properly, if you can't coach on Zoom, you're going to struggle in the near future. So make yourself techno-wise and get onto the Zoom. The second critical thing that the industry is predicting and talking about, if you're not on social media, in other words, if you're not active on Facebook or LinkedIn or what's the other, Pinterest and come on, you guys know, I don't know all the apps. Instagram, there's the name. My team runs the apps for me most of the time. The only one I'm on is Facebook. If you're not active on social media and you don't have a presence on social media, you're also going to struggle in the future. And the main reason behind that is there's a massive shift in how people choose their coaches, and there's a massive shift in how people select who they're going to follow right now and in the near future. We've seen it on our platforms. When I read the stats and the trends, I went, oh yeah, absolutely. So someone just said people are looking for real. So let me just give you a couple of things that's happening. Number one, instant gratification. You guys know what instant gratification is, right? Instant gratification. Add water and you've got a baby. Is that instant gratification? It's close, right? Instant gratification is here to stay. Now, if you've been on my platforms, you know that I've got a little bit of an issue with instant gratification simply because we understand what it does to the neural network in the brain. We understand what it makes, what it does to our capability to think, to strategize, to hypothesize. It's not the healthiest thing to live on, but the society we live in are instant gratification junkies. So here's an interesting result that's come out from it. Up until about 2 years ago, the best way to sell coaching was usually a 12-session package. That's gone. Doesn't happen anymore. Clients are looking for instant gratification. So what is happening at the moment, unless you can bring actual change in a client's life that they can either experience or taste in the first session, I want to say this again, unless you can bring actual and experience of change that they can physically experience or taste, in other words, visualize in the immediate future, in the first session, the probability that you'll keep that client has reduced drastically. Most clients will not come for a third session unless they've experienced change in the first two. So for all the coaches out there, up your game. The old way of coaching from years ago, and luckily we're not teaching that way, or book 12 sessions, and I'll take you through this journey, gone. They want to see change immediately. It's something that's flowing over from the instant gratification scale. Does that make sense, guys? So in the first session, you need to bring change. So what's the secret? How do you do that? Can I give you the tip? What happened traditionally in the past, coaches used to, the popular way was doing either a 20-minute or a 30-minute introduction session. You can still do your 20-minute introduction session, but I will greatly advise reduce it down to about 10 minutes. 10-minute introduction session. When you go into your coaching session, book your first session 2 hours. In the 2-hour session, especially if you are a new coach, it gives you the opportunity to ensure that you bring change in that person's life. If you're still a young coach, some of you guys might actually, I'm saying young in coaching years, all right? Yeah, all right. If you're still a young coach in coaching years and experience, some of you guys might struggle to bring great change in a 40-minute or a 50-minute session. That used to be the popular time frame. Make your first session double the time, make it a 2-hour session at least, because it's giving you the opportunity to go through the processes, go through the techniques, and ensure that the client's going to experience change. Your next session, you can do that in a 1-hour session or a 15-minute session. Because here's the second thing that's quite interesting. Clients that are experiencing change with their coaches stick to the coach. For some reason, what is happening, and this is a very interesting shift. A couple of years ago, there was quite a definite trend where clients were coach hopping. They would go from one coach to another coach to another coach to another coach and almost do a kind of a comparison of which coach has served me the best. If a client now comes in and they actually have a good session with you, the level of loyalty has increased. The clients stay with you. They will come back every now and then when they need, sometimes 3 months later, sometimes 6 months later. But if they need a coach again, they will come back to the same coach. So here's the critical thing. If they do take a break from you and they come back the next time, you've got to satisfy them. You've got to give them the change that they're looking for. Because remember one of the principles in coaching. People are coming to you for change, to solve a problem that they are struggling with. You don't have to solve it, but you've got to coach them so they can solve it. You need to bring that to the surface every single time. Have it in your sights and coach accordingly. Is that okay? That makes sense? Interesting. I'm loving this stuff. For me, it's fascinating. Now, here's a couple of really, 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 really interesting shifts that are happening. There is a strong driving towards new niche markets. Now, a couple of years ago, niche markets didn't really exist. Everybody, you were just a life coach or an NLP practitioner. Then the niche market in the industry started coming in, and it was a fad for a couple of years. Everybody went niche, 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 niche. And the more you niche, the better it was. And then it sort of fizzled out for a while. It was as if niche coaching actually lost its power. And people were not Googling niche in the markets. They were using keywords like in life coach and looking at people's profiles and everything else and the areas they were in. What has started to happen again is not only on niche-focused coaching back, but the level of niche marketing is becoming more extreme. So let me just give you a couple of examples. Let's talk about a niche market, one of the most popular niche markets around the world, relationship coaching. That's a niche. Now, up until about 2 years ago, about a year ago still, you could say, I'm a relationship coach. What is starting to happen now, and the new trend in the industry, that's not good enough anymore. So let's talk about what happens in relationships. Well, the first thing that happens in relationships is you're going to meet someone. Find the right partner. That's a sub-niche of a niche. Keep the partner. First 5 years of relationships, 7 year each. Your middle stage, 10 years and more in relationship. Can you hear what I'm saying here? Break it down into further speciality niche groups. That is the current absolute trend, and that's where people are going. So some of you guys got a lot of experience in breaking up, so you can even start a niche group, how to break up with your lover. 50 ways to leave your lover. Be creative. Guys, here's the thing. Here's the tip. Here's the best advice in the coaching industry. Remember one thing. People do not hire a coach because you act smart, because they like your profile picture, because you put a great amount of really interesting stuff that they can go and read on Facebook. They hire a coach because they have got a problem. They've got a challenge. Their hearts are broken, they're lonely, they're overweight, they're not confident enough, they're not motivated, they procrastinate a lot, they've got a phobia, they've got something that is withholding them from living the fullness of life that they can possibly live. So what are they looking for? They're looking for someone to guide them through a process where that specific problem is resolved. It could be to start their business and they're not doing it. But here's the thing, even in starting a business, they've got the idea, they might have the strategy plan, they might have everything in place, they might believe they don't have the capital, they might even have the capital. There can be a myriad of different reasons inside the bigger reason. what we need to do as coaches, if you want to really make it in the industry and you want to stay up there in the top numbers, break your specific problem you're solving down and become as specific around it as you possibly can. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. Now, there's another side to this, and this is one of the things that I constantly train in our training programs, and I really believe a lot of coaches around the world needs to hear this. When you enter the industry, one of the things most coaches want to do is they want to put up their niche and they want to start promoting the niche accordingly. Do yourselves a favor. Start coaching whoever you can lay your hands on. Coach 50 to 100 people. You will start getting experience of a variety of different types of clients, different niche groups. You will feel a stronger pull towards a very specific group of people. You will feel a natural ability to assist a certain group of people more than others, to solve a certain kind of a problem for people more than what you will for others. What you will also find is a certain type of person will constantly start referring clients to you. Identify who are they, what is the problem you've solved for them. Break that down. That's your natural niche. So you need to understand there's a choice niche. So before I know what coaching is really about, I'm saying, this is what I want to do. That's your pre-decided choice. You've obviously got a right to it. But you also have a natural niche. There's a certain profile person that when they come to you for coaching, magic is going to happen. And the secret, or one of the secrets in this industry, is you need to find that group of people. How do you find them? Coach, 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 coach. It will reveal itself to you. And it could change. Just because that's your niche today does not necessarily mean it's going to stay with it. It could transform into other areas. A second area could add on. A third area could add on. Is that okay? Make sense? I've seen so many coaches jump in. Oh, I want to coach teenagers. I want to coach teenagers. And you talk to them 2 years later. You say, how's your coaching business going? Great. No, I'm busy. Really? Who are you coaching? Retirees. Well, what happened to the teenagers? They never came back. But the old folks did. Natural niche. Your natural niche will always be there. They'll keep coming to you guys. Okay. Yep. I only want to coach blondes, and then all the redheads come. Well, I only want to coach redheads, all the brunettes come. You never know. All right. Now, I wrote 3 words in a sequence. I wrote down the following. Coach equals speaker equals interactive equals engagement. So here's a new trend. If you're a coach, you need to be a speaker as well. In other words, not a public speaker that stands on a platform and preaches to 1,000 people. Even that industry is changing. So let me just give you guys a little bit of a background here to explain that and unpack this. There's a concept in this industry that we used to call the man of the hour with the power. You ever heard that saying? The man of the hour with the power. Who were they? They were the great guys with the great names, with the great branding, with the great stuff that used to go on platforms and talk. And whilst they are talking, everybody zips at you. You're allowed to laugh, raise your hands, scream, but you're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to interrupt. I'm not going to name names. Guys, 2 and 2 is always 4. These webinars or these platforms would have usually been accompanied by a big hoo-ha. They would have line dancers in front, dancing, kicking, whatever. Groups of people hyping up the audience. Strong music, lights. They would make it look like it's a show you're entering. Guess what happened since lockdown came? They had to go virtual. What's the problem with virtual? No backup dancers. You've got to be able to deliver content and quality content to keep your audience. So what's happened to the man of the hour with the power? What's happened to most of them? Their businesses have gone down. Our audience, suddenly, because of lockdown, because of virtual, because what's happening now? Everybody is focused on what? On the speaker. If the speaker starts to waffle, people leave. It's easy to leave. All you do is you press a button and you're gone. When it was a live event and you had a seat in the middle of the row and you wanted to leave halfway through, you had to get up and excuse me. You were stuck. It was a mission. You couldn't leave. You sat until the end because you were too embarrassed to leave. Now there's no embarrassment. So what do people do? And they just go. So here's the key. If you want to be a coach, you need to be able to run interactive, high content, stimulating, intelligent, informative, online live events. Why? Because you need to show your level of expertise. All of a sudden, when lockdown came in, I don't know if you guys noticed, every second guy had a webinar. And one of the popular things that people realized is, hold on a second, I can record a webinar and put it into a funnel page and just let it run automatically, and people come in and they buy my products. Well, hello, who's bought a product from a platform like that quite recently? What you will notice is that is dead already. It worked for a very short time. It doesn't work anymore. The only thing that's now really working in our industry, and I'm loving it, that's why you can see I'm like extremely excited to tell you guys these things, because it's been my heartbeat: authenticity, high level quantity or quality content. Boom shakalaka. You guys getting this? Now, hear my words, hear my heartbeat. Find that beautiful, amazing natural niche you have. The fact that you've got a natural niche, and everybody does have a natural one. You might not know what it is right now. That's fine. Go on the journey, coach people, and find what it is. The moment you find it, you will also realize that is an area in your life in which you have a baggage load of wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Package that into phenomenal online live talks. Share that content with your potential audience, with your existing audience, and with a loyal following. Give it away for free. Share it with your audience. You guys with me? What you're doing, if you do that, if you can be absolutely authentic, if you talk from actual real experience, high quality talks with good quality content, people see the real you. That is what gives you the right to speak and the right, if I want to go that far, to actually coach. That will bring customers. That will bring your coaching clients. You got to be able to do it. Now, apparently, public speaking is the #1 fear around the world. I always thought it was dying, but apparently public speaking is a bigger fear. Guys, there's a concept we teach. I heard a young man, Tony Robbins, when he was still a youngster, he said this in one of his workshops. I'm going back many, many years now. He said the following thing in his workshop. It stuck with me, and I've applied it since then. If the audience is in front of you, they want it, You've got it. Act accordingly. The audience is in front of you. They want it. You've got it. Act accordingly. Speak your mind. There's a very strange thing, and I love this in the training that I do and in the classroom, because quite a few guys of you've been in my classes before. And one of the things that sort of really comes out in the classes is, Dion, I've known that my whole life, but the way you said it just makes absolute sense. Who's heard that? Who's been in our classes? You've heard the students say that. All right. Now, here's the interesting thing about, I giggle every time I hear that. Do you know what the differentiation factor really is? It's merely the fact that I say it and you think if you're going to say it, you're going to sound silly. That's the only difference. I just say it. The reason you don't say it is because you think you're going to sound silly. Well, if you think you're going to sound silly, then come in a workshop so we can check your ego. Because part of being authentic is being silly. Part of being authentic is to make yourself vulnerable and real in front of your audience. People want a coach that's a real, authentic person that does not mind being a little bit silly sometimes. The world has had way more than enough of fake. We want real. So, pull your face. Tell them if you're feeling tired. Tell them if you've had a bad day. Tell them if the wife shouted at you and your heart is broken. Tell them whatever the case may be. Tell them the bad news. Just don't tell them if you've got prostate problems. Nobody cares about that one. All the other stuff you can talk about. Oh my goodness. Guys, you're hearing my heartbeat here. Share and be real. Make silly jokes. Just be the real you. And let's understand the reason behind it. By being fake, you could possibly get a following. But it's only a matter of hours, maybe 2, maybe 10, maybe 100. I don't know. It's only a matter of hours and they're going to find out who you really are. If they came for the fake you, they're not going to like the real you. You've lost that audience. Plus, how tough must it be year in, year out to be fake? I think that must be extremely exhausting. Who do you want as a client? People that are drawn to the authentic you. The authentic you is probably much more likable in real life than the fake you in any case. You might not believe it, but test it and see what happens. The authentic you is sustainable. I'll say that again. The authentic you is sustainable. The authentic you sleeps better than the fake you. The fake you might make a little bit of money in the short term. The authentic you will have income for the rest of your life because people will come. People come to authenticity. They don't like fake anymore. Bad enough with fake. You guys get this? So, everybody, come on, just do it. Yep, it's easy, man. It's easy. The real you is much more lovable. Just be you. Some of these people on the group right now that's been a student of mine that saw me on a platform like years ago. If you go back and you go look at some of my original stuff, and you look at the stuff I'm doing, I'm going back 10 years. I didn't really have videos then, but anyway. But if you do look at my first videos, and if you were part of my training from many years ago, I'm still the same crazy, almost said a swear word, the idiot. I'm still the same crazy person. I'm still the same. And it's so much more fun. And it's easier. You can do it consistently. Is that okay? Yeah? Yeah. All right. Next concept is interesting. Who's been on webinars where they only play videos? There's no live interaction. It's just videos and videos. That's dead. Our audience are fed up with pre-recordings. They want live interaction, people, actual people. There's no mistake in having a couple of video clips. That's cool. But there has to be a live speaker or facilitator or master of ceremonies or speaker or something, and they must have opportunities to speak. Your audience must be able to ask questions. Our audience is becoming educated, guys. They're becoming educated. If someone's going to come onto your webinar, onto your platform, they've been on 10 others already. They are comparing. They've learned things there. They've heard other people ask questions there. Because of those platforms, they've got questions in their mind and they're waiting for someone to ask that question. Answer those questions. Give them opportunities to ask and then answer. If you give them a good quality answer. If you don't know the answer, tell them, I don't know the answer, I'll go find out. If you do know the answer, give them the answer. If you're a specialist in your field, you should know the answer. Give them value answers. Okay? What's this conversation? Tomorrow, do you and Dennis want to get in a room? Because you guys are sitting here chatting the whole time. All right. No, I'm teasing you. Please don't leave. Please continue. Some of the guys are bored listening to my voice and they're enjoying your chat more. That's cool. Does it make sense, guys? Stop just the recording stuff. Some topics you'll still get the viewers, sure, but people get bored. I look at my YouTube statistics. We launched a video about 3 weeks ago. Less than 3 weeks ago, I put a video onto YouTube. We had over 1,000 views in literally a couple of days. Videos went insane, tons of views on it. But you know what the interesting thing is? Even with the videos with a lot of views and low views, because most of my videos are roughly an hour, which sort of goes against the YouTube trend. What do you think is the average time that people spend on a video? 6 minutes. If you're lucky. 6 minutes on an hour and a half teaching video. Some of them I know, this is bloody good content. And then they're on there for 6 minutes. Yeah, but I just introduced myself and now you're leaving already. What's wrong? People don't want to spend time watching the videos anymore. We know this. We see what happens with TikTok. Instant gratification. I want to go on. Oh, I like this one. Ooh, no. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, look at this one. Let me rewind. Ooh, no. Ooh, this one's cool. Let's look at this one. Oh, funny. Okay, next one. Instant gratification. Tired of videos. Interesting one. Online learning schools had a massive increase when lockdown started. Early 2021, numbers started dropping. What does it tell us? No more videos. All right. One more concept that we need to just keep in mind here. If you do this and if you run your webinars, I'm actually going to take these papers and notes in front of me and just throw them one side because they're irritating me. I don't want to look down and look at you guys. If you are running these webinars, if you're running these setups and setups, one of the critical components is you need to do this on your social media stuff. You need to do it one way or the other. You need to create a sense of community. Sense of community. The simple truth behind sense of community is I belong. I belong. Now, just to give you guys a quick idea, who came in 10 minutes early? Did you notice I came in, the session was supposed to start at 7, about 7:15 to 7 somewhere, I switched the camera on and I started interacting with a whole lot of people, some of the regulars that's always on these platforms. What was that for? Nothing else but sense of community. People feel welcome. They see, these guys are chatting. There's something on here. There's got to be something here. People like this. I want to be part of it. You've got to be able to create that. Now, the beautiful truth behind this is you can only create it if there is a sense of community, if the people actually do feel welcome, if they actually do know each other, if you've cultivated it, if you've taken care of your customer base, if you've nurtured them, if you've offered them the solutions to their needs, if you could stay consistent, which means you've got to be authentic. All of these things I spoke of tonight, everything needs to come together in one package. That's the only way forward in the industry. Now, I started reading this a couple of weeks ago, and the more I was doing this research, the more excited I was getting. Because the guys that know me, well, I've been preaching this for years. I mean, this to me has always been the way it's supposed to be. It's like a no-brainer. I got frustrated when some of these guys would come up and it's like a show you're going to. And the speaker shows up for 5 minutes, but you sat there for 4 hours. And then he says no real value content and you leave. And then he wants you to pay another 50,000 for the next one. It's like, what is going on in this industry? It's changing. We, you, and 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 you, are the coaches, the community, and the people that are now looking for. It's out to them. Any questions? Let's open up. Anybody got a question? Let me just go and have a look. Tomorrow, you and Dennis were chatting the whole time. You got to have some questions or statements or something in there. So,
yeah, I've got a question. What about building like your own programs and charging money for that? Like, where is that standing now in the coaching industry?
All right, what is happening at the moment? One of the absolute big things that's happening in the moment is, now I need to find the word in my head again for it. When you join, almost like not a partnership, associations.
Joint venture?
Joint ventures, affiliations, associations. So there's two things that's happened. At one stage, there was a trend for coaching companies, and coaching companies started really developing and became quite powerful. In other words, you work for the company, you earn a salary or percentage or whatever, and then you coach their customers that come into the company. Or you work for a corporate as a coach. Now, what's happened since over the last couple of years, the coaching companies have taken a knock. They're really, really struggling. The average person that's looking for a coach wants to make the decision of who the coach is going to be. So inside of the corporate market, what's happened is corporates employed, and they still employ a lot of internal coaches, but they still outsource a huge amount of their coaching to external coaches. Now, previously what they did is they used to hire big coaching companies to come in and coach their staff, but the staff could not decide who the coach, they were assigned a coach. That's changing. What is happening at the moment is people have realized it's critical for the client, even if they're employed in a company, the client needs to choose their coach. So what the corporates are now doing is they're building internal coaching logs or coaching registers. So to give you guys an idea, in South Africa, one of the companies, they're all throughout Africa, they're quite large, international. One of the cell phone providers with the big yellow signs, starts with the M. On their coaching register, there's 28,000 coaches on their register. Because in their organization, once you reach a certain level, then you get a coach. That's next level, you're allowed to have 2, and at a certain level, you're allowed to have 3 coaches. So what they've done is they've said, okay, here's a register, choose your own. And that's becoming the trend. So what has happened is people that work for big coaching companies have started to struggle because the coaching companies are not as popular. What is becoming more popular is people inside of the organizations and individuals obviously want to choose their own coaches. Did I answer that question for you tomorrow? Cool. All right. Any other questions? I see there is some chats going on here. Let me just read if there is a question. Right, what was that? Will the person be ready to coach immediately after? No, Ravina, no, you've still got to do another 7 years of practice. Let's get, Ravina, that's actually a good question. Are you ready to coach after a 9-day course? Let's ask the question this way. Who are ex-students? And if you are an ex-student, you've done your NLP and life coaching course with us, what do you think is the answer? Yes or no? If you think it's yes, just give her a hand or show her.
Absolutely.
Be honest, be transparent, don't lie.
Absolutely, Adrian.
Thank you. All right. I want to ask another question. Are you capable of bringing change in a client's life within 1 hour? If you can't, go to another coaching school, or come and redo ours again, or make a plan. If you cannot do it in an hour, you need to up your skills. You need to be able to bring change in a client within an hour. That's absolutely one of the absolute key requirements. Cool. All right. Anybody got any other questions? Come on. Yes, Kadendra.
I'm looking at the ads on TV and I see First National Bank. When you open a business account with them, you have access to one of their business coaches to help you along in your business. Have you seen that?
I've seen that. That's actually quite a big trend at the moment. I am going to mention that those are not highly, depending on which level you open your business account or what your account looks like, they're not always extreme, high-levelly trained business coaches. So some of them are actually just literally, I don't know if you know how call centers usually work. They've got like a flip thingy. So you ask a question and then they're going to go, okay, that's the question. So the answers, and it's like, this is pre-scripted answers. So take that in its context, use that service, but just remember they're not highly trained business coaches. And I'm not saying this in a derogatory or negative way, but if they were, they would not work in a call center at the bank. I'm not knocking them. I'm fairly certain there are some people that's using it as a stepping stone, as an experience gathering process. That's very, very probable. But the more likely scenario is they actually came in as call center agents and now they've been taught a little bit. Okay. So let's just be aware of who they are and what they do. But here's the thing, Gadendra. I love what they've done because what they're literally doing is they're showing the world, you know what, here's a profession called coaching. This is what we can do. And I love that. At the moment, and Sanita, saw your hands up. I just want to just mention something quickly. A lot of people tell me, but isn't the market saturated already? If you, on average, around the world, globally, less than 10% of the world population knows what a life coach is. Less than 10% of the world population knows what a life coach is. What do you mean it's saturated? The more coaches coming into the industry, the more exposure we're giving the industry, the more people will know about the industry. We need more coaches. How many? Millions! Because we need to change the world. If you go to companies, my son-in-law is a senior hotshot in some software development company in the Netherlands. They stay in the Netherlands. And he shared with me the other day, he said, if you don't have, he says, Dan, in the Netherlands, if you're a professional and you don't have at least one coach, you're frowned upon. It's like this, you don't have a coach? What's wrong with you? Don't you want to perform better? It's as if there's some, and I love that concept, and that's spreading in Europe. Germany, same thing apparently is happening. And guess what? It's just a matter of time, and it's coming here. If you want to become a performer in life, you're going to need a coach. We've seen it in the sporting field. The biggest and the best golf player in the world, the best golf players in the world, he's got a coach that's a specialist in how to drive from the tee. He's got a coach how to play from the rough. He's got a coach how to play the short game. He's got a coach to teach him how to putt. He's got an attitude of mental strength coach. He's got 4, 5, 6 different specialist coaches. What for? To make him the best of what he wants to be. This has been present in the sporting arena for many, many years. It's flowing over to the rest of the world. Even coach to breathe better. Yeah. Well, there's some coaches that teach you how to laugh better, apparently, so that's also kind of cool. The new thing, my daughter told me that their company, they've got a Lego coach. I mean, how cool is that? A Lego coach. They come in with a whole lot of Lego. They teach you how to play Lego and what you learn from. I mean, that is so cool. Right, so Nate, you had a question.
And I just wanted to mention, while I was still busy with the bank, we actually have let the relationship executives got some training on coaching. So, yeah, but it was not as extensive that we had done with Dion.
Coaching is working. I remember years ago, I had a student that came in and he worked for one of the banks in South Africa, one of the big blue banks. The logos are big and blue. And he came on the course, and what he decided is he wanted to coach some of his colleagues in the bank. And he started a thing in the bank called the coaching circles. So during lunchtime and breaks and whatever, and after work and sometimes in the mornings early, he had coaching circles. It was a volunteer thing, and literally it was a matter of people sitting in a circle, and he would then do almost like a group coaching session. The bank looked at the result of what was happening to the people in the coaching circles, and the people started talking about it. Guess what happened? They made it official. They actually hired him as an official coach inside of the organization, and then they were nice enough to hire me to come and coach quite a few. Well, I think I coached about 50 or 60 people in that bank. Then lockdown came and they had to sort of close the door. They called us the other day. They want us to come back. They've got another 46 or something people we need to go and train. How did that happen in that bank? They saw the results. And that's what is absolutely. So here's the thing. What's another word for results? Return on investment. If there's a return on investment, it's an easy decision. Easy decision. Right. Any more questions? Are we timing this well? I said it's an hour. It's like 5 minutes to 8. Man, I'm so proud of myself. I spoke in such a short time. Come on, Dennis. You've got to have a question. You've always got questions. You can unmute yourself. We won't laugh at your voice, don't worry.
Dion, more a comment. If I look what's happening in our company at this stage, and I mean, it's been a process now for more than 5 years that we are busy building a coaching culture, and we are now on the brink of people are coming to us the whole time now to say, listen, I need coaching on this, I need coaching on that. I don't think it will ever saturate because there's a lot of work that our coaches can do. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I see in the chat also someone asked a question, Dennis, maybe you can answer it. What's the meaning of life? Who was that funny person that asked that? It was you.
34.
Okay. All right. Anybody got a question? Guys, please ask. Listen, you can ask about the coaching industry in general. I would love to answer that. I see someone's talking about the Abundance Unplugged event that's coming up soon. You can ask about our training. You can ask about anything. Even if it's personal, I'll decide if I want to answer it or not. Just don't ask me out on a date. I'm married. I can't. And I won't. Dennis wants a date though. He's single. Jonker, Jagara. Okay, Jenhara, you raised the hand. Oh, my lost Jenhara. Hello. Why's your camera not on?
Hi. My dog crawled into my coat. I'm not decent to be on camera, so please excuse that. I've got the dog and the cat here.
That's fine. It's awesome having you on these platforms again.
Yeah, it's good to be with you always. So thank you for doing all of this. I'm sure I speak for everyone. I say it's really so appreciated. Dion, I've got a bit of a risque question, especially being a young lady. Where or what is the line in terms of authentic expression, regarding sexuality and professionalism, in terms of what I post and body confidence, etc. And can I post myself in a swimsuit or lingerie if I want to help other women reach that level of confidence and comfort in their body, and just sort of where does that line fall?
I love the question because I think it's extremely relevant, and it's not only relevant for women, it's relevant for men as well. Where is that line? So I think the answer is a variable answer, because my line is not your line.
Yeah.
So you have to look, and it doesn't matter where you're from in the world, you have to look at your customer base, who you're coaching. Every group of people, every village has its own culture. And inside of some village, there's different cultures. Different cultures, different languages, different countries have got different values, different value rules that they bring into their culture and into their traditions. And we need to understand that these things need to be respected to a certain level. Sometimes we can touch the borderlines of them, but we need to respect them. For me, in general, there's a very simplistic rule when it comes to coaching. If you are a woman and you're coaching a male, and you're coaching them alive in a room, you coach them with an open door. And you sit the closest to the door. That's a simple rule. If you are a male and you're coaching a woman in a room, you coach them with an open door. And you allow the woman to sit the closest to the door. What's that doing? It's giving permission. As for me, if you come to my coaching rooms, if you come to my offices or whatever, one of the things you'll always find, I will always have thin blankets in my offices. You know the type of little blankets they give you on the airplanes? They're just too small to properly cover your body, but they just break that little bit of a cold. Those type of blankets, keep them handy if you're doing life coaching. Me as a male, if a woman comes in, I'm dead serious. You raise this topic, I'm going to give you the answer. And the skirt is just short. I cover her with a blanket. Why? Why? To protect her. No. Rule number 1 in coaching. Protect yourself. Do not put yourself into a position where your own brain might want to go in for a wonder. Tomorrow? Are you hearing me, guys?
I'm with you. I mean, I've expressed this to you. I have men that harass me and don't leave me alone. I always complain, I'm like, Dion, this guy wanted to have a meeting and talk about Action Factory, but actually all he wanted to know was how old am I?
Yeah, but tomorrow, set up a Zoom session with him and then do this. Hello, my name is Steve.
I switch off my camera and then I'm very serious and I'm like, get on with it. I'm here to, for a reason. Don't waste my time. But there are people, unfortunately.
Yeah. Guys, this is something that's going to happen in any industry, anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's going to be some level of harassment. There are some people that's going to make you uncomfortable, and you're going to be made uncomfortable by some people. This is not coaching specific. This is all over. This is all over the world. I personally believe part of authenticity means that you are comfortable in your skin, that you are comfortable in your own body, that you are comfortable to move in a certain way that you feel comfortable without. Now, there's a strange thing. Before lockdown, when students came on our courses, I hugged everyone. Everyone. Now, I had some cultures where the women come in all dressed up. You know what I'm talking about? And you're not allowed to touch them, whatever. Well, this is how we hug. We did a virtual hug. But the fascinating thing is, here towards the end of the course, and they get to know you, and they get to know your authenticity and who you really are, and they came in for a hug as well. And that's fine. If you're authentic, people feel your vibe. I'll say that again. If you're authentic, people feel your vibe. They get your message. Rule number 1, just be real. I've got a lot of students. Guys, come on, some of you guys know, I've said this in the classroom as well. We go through a technique and it's huge amount of emotions. I say, if I was with you now, just hug you. But I say exactly the same thing to the pretty ladies, to the other ladies, and to the guys. There's no differentiation. It's authentic. So, but I don't care what you look like. It's authentic. Love the soul, not the body. Easy peasy answer. All right. Janara, I hope I answered your question. I'm not a woman. I don't know how to protect a woman's body. I'm a man. You can ask me how to protect my body. I can give you that answer. I hope I answered it. Any other questions, guys? Yes, Dr. Joachim.
Yes, my question is related to safeguarding. Actually, we have a lot of problems in this area. How would you introduce coaching to release a lot of people in this setup?
In which setup?
Safeguarding children.
In children?
Children, safeguarding. Child protection.
Child protection?
Yes, from abuse.
Oh, okay. So for me, I spent 5 years of my life in a place of safety where I was one of the people that looked after children that were literally removed from their homes by the courts. So I'm gonna say this. To me, you are a coach, you're not a child protection service officer. Get the right authorities involved. If you want to coach a child that's been taken out of circumstances, placed into a place of safety, that's gone through something like that. Now, you need to understand, how does a child learn? The best way for a child to learn is through observation, replication, and installation. In other words, a child looks at something, behavior, habits, reactions, responses. It then acts it out, replicates it, and then it installs it, makes it its own behavior. That's how children pick up behavior. That's why teenage groups all speak funny, because their friends speak funny. So they also speak funny. They observe, they take it in, replicate, and then they install it in their own lives. So what's the best thing to do with a child that's been abused if they're very young? Set a phenomenal, authentic, real, caring, loving, sharing example. The one mistake a lot of people try and make with young kids is to tell them what to do. Young kids do not listen. They follow examples. They replicate behavior. They copy us. That's how they learn. So how do you want to teach them love? Wrap them in authentic love. Easy as that. Joachim? Cool. Authentic love is the most powerful thing in the world. All right. Anybody else? Hello, Lenny. See you came back. Anybody got a question, guys? Anyone? All right. If you want to have more information tomorrow, can I ask you a huge favor? Would you mind typing our website stuff into the link, into the chat for the guys. Guys, let me just mention something. Every 2 weeks, I run these sessions for free, no charge. You've probably heard we didn't do a sales pitch. I am sharing a link of our page. You're welcome to visit it. If you don't want to, you don't have to visit it either. That's fine. But if you want to join us, Conversations with Dion, you should be able to find the link on our site. If not, you can just pop tomorrow a mail. Join Conversations with Dion. They are free. They're every 2 weeks and they're open to the public. The session is being recorded. Like at a later stage, we just download the recording. Someone just cuts out some of the personal stuff that shouldn't be there. And we share it on our Conversations with Dion Facebook page and on our WhatsApp groups. So if you want it, also pop tomorrow a mail and then she will share the recording. This is free, it's mahala, it's there. Okay. So from me, thank you. It's past 8. I've gone almost 10 minutes over my time, which is not too bad for me. Thank you everybody for being here. Your time, effort is appreciated. I know it's not free, recorded free, but time is the most valuable commodity and you're spending it on here. So thank you kindly for that.